really pretty placemats. Maybe you're getting a song ready to sing and surprise everybody. I'd love to know what you're doing to get ready to make your Shabbat a really, really special night for everybody. I will do my part over here, and I will hopefully give you a little bit of entertainment, and we will read a really fun story, followed by a blessing for all of our children of all ages. Everybody can use blessing. And then, of course, we have Kiddush. And I'm going to need your help because, I don't even know if I remember the words. I don't know. I don't think I actually ever learned, actually, the words for the Kiddush and Motzi when I was in rabbinical school. When I was in school to become a rabbi, they never taught us the words. Actually, I had a deficient education. But first, we have to have a story. So the book I have for you today is called Chick Chock Shabbat. When I was a kid and we'd be in a store somewhere and my brother or I would be kind of, when you're looking at something and your mom keeps walking and then suddenly she's like, where did you go? She'd be like, guys, hey, come on, chick chock. And I always thought she just made it up. And then I went to Israel and I realized chick chock is a thing that actually people do say in Israel. My mom lived in Israel when she was a kid. And chick chock is kind of like, hurry up. It's like, come on, quickly. Chick chock. So this book is called Chick Chock Shabbat. Hope you enjoy it. It takes place in an apartment building, which is what I live in. Maybe you live in an apartment. Maybe you live in a house. Maybe you live in a townhome. All good kinds of homes to live in. Chick Chock Shabbat. Every Saturday, a wonderful smell wafted from apartment 5A. That's this one, this particular apartment. And would waft out this beautiful smell. And it goes out the window. Where does it go? Oh, it goes everywhere. It curled into 4D, tickling Tommy Santiago's nose as he played his tuba. It slipped into 3C, tempting Senora Belagale as she bustled around, dusting her teacups. Gotta make sure your teacups don't have any dust on them. Ooh. It crept under the door of 2B, tantalizing Mr. Moon as he typed his new romance novel. Ooh, tantalizing. That means he really was wanting to know, what is that smell? It's so delicious. And all the way down here, even the Omar family on the first floor caught a whiff. They sniffed the air and smiled. So do you think it was a good smell or a bad smell? I think it was a good smell. At last, the door to 5A flew open and out stepped Goldie Simcha, her face shining like a silver spoon. Speaking of spoons, here's some spoons and here's a pot. I think it's where all the wonderful smells are coming from. As her neighbors took their places at her table, Goldie ladled steaming stew into their bowls. While they ate, they argued about what made Goldie's cholent so delicious. Cholent is what's in this pot right here. And it's got a whole lot of stuff in it. Do you eat cholent in your house? I have had cholent before. I've never actually made it myself. But I've seen it being made. There's a lot going on in there. So they were arguing, what is it that makes Goldie's cholent so delicious? Because it is so delicious. What is it? Senora Bergali cried, it's the tomatoes. Or the barley? Offered Mr. Moon. Little Lolly Omar piped up, the potatoes. And the Santiagos all agreed it had to be the beans. Many, many different things. But Goldie shook her head. When I was a girl, she said, I always helped my grandmother get ready for Shabbat. All Friday afternoon we rushed around, cutting up the vegetables, sweeping the floor, dressing the tablecloth in its best, dressing the table in its best lace tablecloth. Busy, busy, hurry, hurry, do it right away, chick chock. But when the sun went down, my grandmother lit the candles and Shabbat began. So here's Goldie as a little girl, and her grandma, and her grandpa, and her mom, and her dad, and her brother, lighting the candles. What else is on their Shabbat table? Challah, and wine, All the stuff you need. Ooh. I don't know if you can hear that. I can hear a fire truck outside. From my apartment building where I live. Anyway, back to Goldie. Goldie remembers that when she was a girl, for one whole night and day, we put aside the things that kept us busy all week long. And let's see, what were they doing instead of all the things that keep them busy all week long? They're going to synagogue as a family. And when the cholent bubbled slowly on the stove, we spent time in a special way together. They're waiting for the cholent to be done cooking, and what's Goldie doing? She's playing checkers with her grandpa. You think he lets her win? Maybe. I don't celebrate exactly Shabbat as my grandmother did, said Goldie, but every Friday afternoon I put a pot of cholent on the stove to bubble through the night and then the next day. And when it's done at last, it has a special taste that isn't beans or barley or tomatoes or potatoes. For me, the taste of cholent is Shabbat. And all her neighbors raised their spoons full of cholent and said, Shabbat. You take your pretend spoon full of cholent and go, it smells so good, and raise it up and say, Shabbat. That's what they all did. One Saturday, however, something was not right. Tommy's tuba played nothing but sour notes. Senora Belagali's nicest teacup tumbled off the shelf and smashed. She looks pretty sad about it. And Mr. Moon, exasperated, and he's very frustrated. It means he was very frustrated. So frustrated, he threw the pages of his latest romance novel across the room. And they actually went all the way out the window. That's not good. The Omars sniffed and sniffed, but they couldn't catch the faintest whiff. At last, little Lolly Omar climbed the stairs and knocked on Goldie's door. Goldie answered, her face buried in a tissue. Friday afternoon, I felt too sick to get the cholent on the stove. She's all stuffed up, you know. She said, and she sniffled. Now it's too late. Achoo! You can't make cholent in a hurry, right away. Chick-chock. Because remember, how long does it take to make cholent? You got to start it on Friday afternoon. It has to cook all of Friday afternoon and Friday night and Saturday morning and finish it. And Saturday afternoon is when you can eat it. But she's too sick. You get the tissues, cold medicine. No cholent for Shabbat? Tommy Santiago dropped his tuba when he heard the news. Senora Belagali's feather duster flew into the air. Mr. Moon got so mixed up that he accidentally put a monster robot into his romance novel and it squashed the hero flat. Not good. And on the first floor, the Omars frowned. Poor Goldie, Mrs. Omar said. It just won't be Shabbat for her, Mr. Omar agreed. Little Lolly peered in the fridge. Potato curry isn't the same thing as cholent, she said. Still, it always cheers me up. They don't have any cholent, but they do have potato curry. As the Omars climbed the stairs with their bowl of potato curry, Mr. Moon came out of 2B with a tray. Korean barley tea, he told them. Of course, it isn't cholent, but has barley in it. Cholent has barley, and in Korea they make a tea out of barley. Not the same, but similar. Senora Belagali squeezed out of 3C. Tomato pizza, she puffed. It's not cholent, but it's got the tomatoes. Tommy Santiago held the door of 4D open for his mother. It's not cholent, she admitted cheerfully, but everybody likes beans and rice. So they don't have cholent in Tommy Santiago's apartment, but they have beans when they eat them with rice. Goldie opened the door for them. Look, they all are coming, and their hands are full of all these delicious dishes from their own apartments. She blew her nose. She wiped her eyes, and she smiled. Come in. Come in. Her neighbors took their places at her table, and they filled their plates, not with cholent, but with all the delicious food that they have that's kind of have similar ingredients to cholent. We didn't time to make anything special, Signora Belagali apologized. We had to hurry, bring it right away. Chick-chack. But here we are, said little Lolly Omar, together. Goldie took a bite of pizza, a nibble of curry, a mouthful of beans and rice, and she sipped on her barley tea. You think it tasted like cholent? Then she looked around the table, her face shining like a silver spoon, and she said, I think it tastes exactly like Shabbat. So Goldie and everyone else in the apartment's Shabbat didn't look exactly the way it usually does, and they didn't have their exact same cholent. This is true. But everybody has their own version of food that makes them very happy. And a lot of us use the same different kinds of ingredients. Certain specific foods that you find in one recipe, you can find in another recipe. And everybody brought their own recipes to share. And it tasted even better because they're sharing it. It's kind of the whole point of Shabbat. Chick-chack Shabbat. I wonder what good stuff you're going to have for Shabbat. It wouldn't be a story time with Rabbi Fort, who's me, if we didn't have an opportunity for a blessing. So if you have daughters or granddaughters with you, or if you are the daughter or granddaughter, give yourself a nice hug right now as we do this blessing. So for over all of our girls, our daughters, our granddaughters, our tradition likes to say, Yisimech Elohim, Kitzera Rivka Rachel v'Leah. May God make you like Sarah, Becca, Rachel, and Leah, and the great women of our tradition. And if there are any little boys out there, any sons, any grandsons, or perhaps you are the son or grandson, you're sitting there, give yourself a hug, or put your hand on the head, either way. And we can say, Yisimcha Elohim ke'Ephraim u'ke'Menashe. May God make you like Ephraim and Menashe, and all the sons of our tradition. And over all of our children, if you've got a lot of children in front of you, if you have one child in front of you, if you are the child watching this, give yourself a big hug, big group hug, everybody there. And over all of our children, I will say for you, Yevarechecha Adonai v'yishmerecha, Ye'er Adonai panav elecha v'yichuneka, Yisa Adonai panav elecha v'yasem lecha shalom. May God give you the blessings that God gives all the children, especially the most important one, that one of shalom, which means peace. And yes, also hello and goodbye. Some of you are very clever and you knew that. And it would not be story time with Rabbi Fort if we didn't have some Kiddush. So if you have a special cup, I'm using yet another. I didn't realize how many Kiddush cups I had until I started doing this. But this is yet another Kiddush cup of mine. It's got a very long stem and a very big bowl part. Grape juice. Yeah, you can't see it. There you go. Now you can see it. And this actually is the first Kiddush cup I bought for myself because I never had one of my very own. And I decided about 10 years ago that I wanted my own. So I bought it. So I want you to hold up your Kiddush cup if it's real. And if it's pretend, it can be whatever kind of Kiddush cup you want it to be, which is pretty exciting. Hold it up with me and help me out with the words for the Kiddush. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Let me hear you say, Amen. Delicious? I hope so. And a full, real challah. Very exciting. And of course, if you're using a French baguette or a ciabatta from Italy or Central Market, wherever you get yours, those are also good options. Any kind of bread. Give it a sniff, give it a feel. Maybe it's got breadcrumbs on it. Don't shed too many breadcrumbs on the floor. And you gotta help me out with this motzi. How does it go again? Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz. Amen. You gotta take a bite. Have some of mine. It's good, right? Almost like I made it myself. But I didn't. I hope you have a wonderful Shabbat. I hope you enjoyed our story. Cheek chak Shabbat. Cheek chak means hurry, hurry. And cholent is not a hurry, hurry thing, but sometimes you got to make do with what you got, and everyone's got to pull together, and that's what happened in Cheek chak Shabbat, and it was a very wonderful Shabbat. Hope you got a little bit of warm feelies up from the blessing of the children, and I hope that you enjoyed your grape juice and your challah, whether they were real grape juice and challah or pretend grape juice and challah. Either way, they're pretty tasty. I hope you have a wonderful Shabbat. I hope you stay safe, and I hope you give someone you love today a big hug and a kiss and wish them a Shabbat Shalom.